All right, so if you are back with us and you were with us last month, thanks for coming back. If this is your first session, welcome to Toolkit Tuesdays. I'm glad you're here. My name is Jimmy. I'm going to have to ask you guys to be a little patient with me. I'm fighting like a fever, cold, congestion. I just got this brain fog that won't go away. It's lingering and it's impeding in my like I don't have clarity. So it's very frustrating. It's like my fourth or fifth day. It's getting better, but I might stumble a little bit over my words. I might pause when I'm not supposed to pause. So please, again, bear with me on that. My physical health is not quite where I would like it to be. Some housekeeping items. I'm recording this. It will be on YouTube. I'll probably post it on there a little bit later today. I threw the link to my channel in the chat. Feel free to use that, follow it. Also, throw your questions if you have any about this episode or leadership in general in the chat as well. I will try to answer them at the end of this episode. If it requires a little bit more of a deep dive, I'll just get with you offline and we will answer them that way. And as always, if you find today useful, please be sure to share, like, subscribe, and support. Now, it's not necessary that you watch these in order, but these are stackable. The language continues to build. These concepts will continue to find themselves useful in later episodes. For instance, last month we talked about Know Yourself to Lead Yourself, which is this tool right here. And this tool will definitely find its way in our language and continuously brought up as a recurring theme for future toolkit sessions. So please go back and watch that if you have not. It's on the channel. And just like last month, this month's tool will be supported by these two facts, which are number one, you can't give what you don't possess. And number two, we never graduate from the school of self-improvement. So I went a little bit more in depth of these last month, not too much, but they're pretty self-explanatory. But if you want to kind of know where we're coming from, that's where we're talking about. Yeah, I covered these two last month. So this month, before we get to the tool, we're going to talk about Mount Everest for a second. So Mount Everest is really tall. Everybody knows that. It's just over 29,000 feet tall, to be specific. And if you want to put that into perspective, let's say you're getting ready to go see your grandma for the holidays and you jump in a Boeing 747, your cruising altitude is usually around 30,000 feet. So if you're sitting in your pressurized cabin and you look out your window as you fly over Everest, it would be less than 1,000 feet below you. The peak would be. So it's very tall. It's not a mountain that you accidentally end up at the top of. In fact, the process for that is pretty lengthy, right? You spend about a year training, getting certified on the techniques and the tools necessary to climb the mountain. You're an experienced mountain climber by this point already. You've spent about $60,000 to $130,000 on a unit. $60,000 to $130,000 on an outfit to help you get to the top. You spend about 3 months on the mountain itself in order to acclimate, right? So you don't get acute mountain sickness or elevation related injuries. You have to acclimate. So you're going to be on the mountain for about 3 months, moving up and down it in staggered steps to make sure from camp to camp, right? To make sure that you acclimate to these elevations. And there's about a 10-day window near the end of May where there's like a weather window there, and it's usually around 3 days worth of good enough weather that you can actually summit, and then you start your descent. So very long process. Like I said, you don't do it accidentally, and you definitely don't do it alone. Although you may get to the top and have a picture taken of yourself that looks like this, which as you should, right? And you'd talk about this for the rest of your life. You're one of the few people that have successfully summited Mount Everest. But the guy I want to talk about is this guy right here. The guy that you would not have made it to the top without. And he is a Sherpa. Now, if you don't know this already, a Sherpa is a people group. Sherpa is a people group, very much like the Apaches or Comanches or Navajo, right? These are a people group, and they are born between 13 and 15,000 feet above sea level. And what that means is they have a superpower. They're kind of like a mutant if you like X-Men, or I don't know. I don't know my superheroes right now, but they are a superhero in real life. They have a natural acclimation to elevation that you and I struggle at. They're just super, super healthy at elevation compared to us because they're born there. Their lung capacity is just off the charts, and we can't make it to the top without them. And that is what I want to speak to. So, these guys, if we went back to the picture of the mountain, you would see an ice flow called Kumba Falls, right? And this is just constantly shifting. So it's not like some mountains. Like I've hiked some mountains where they have a really established trail. Even if you go to like the Grand Canyon or some of these really, not even like just a park that's been improved a little bit, there will be steps to help you up and down elevation. There'll be handrails. There's just all kinds of cool things that they can't do that on Everest, right? Because it's constantly shifting and moving. So the Sherpas are going ahead of you, setting ropes and ladders and making sure they find the best way. They navigate the best way up the mountain for you. And then they're coming back and helping you get up and then picking up gear and bringing oxygen tanks up and down. And they're doing all kinds of things on that mountain where your sole purpose is to make it to the top. They are trying to help you get there, and not just you, all the other climbers in your group. So if you were to ask a Sherpa, how many times have you made it to the top? How many times have you summited Mount Everest? Because you would imagine, man, that's just got to be a bunch of times. You guys live there, you go up and down, you've done it year after year. That's not how they measure success. They measure success. A better question to ask them would be, how many people have you helped reach the top? And that's how they quantify success. That's what pays their bills, right? Is their ability to help others make it to the top. And that's the analogy that I want to use to help understand today's tool. So today's tool is the 100x indicator. All right. It's a snapshot. You can use this today, you can use it next week, you can use it tomorrow, and you might find yourself somewhere else on this tool. But the first thing we're going to look at is the number value. So you'll see there from 0 to 100, we have red, yellow, up to green, but there's that scale there right here from 0 to 100, right? You could be right now at a 0, or you could be 100. Obviously, the idea here is to avoid those lower levels where it says avoid and it's red, which indicates unhealthy. You could be somewhere in the yellow, which is typical of most leaders, and we're going to talk about that. Or you could be in the green, which is ideal. The idea here is to avoid those lower levels, like I said. Hopefully, get in the 80s or above. But the number is really an understanding of how healthy you are personally. And that doesn't just include physical health, right? So, right now, obviously, my physical health is taking a toll on me, but it's not. This isn't a number that only relates to my physical health. It also talks about my emotional and mental health. So a question would be, how good do you feel about where you are right now on a scale of 0 to 100, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically? Right now, I'm probably in the mid to high 80s, still doing pretty good. I'm coming out of this sickness. Mentally, I'm good. Emotionally, I'm good to go. Spiritually, good to go. It's just a physical thing that's kind of got my number down a little bit. I've been way lower. I've been down in them 60s. I've possibly been lower than that. I can't think of an example right off the top of my head. But right now, I'm just in a really good season. I'm doing things I like to do. I love what I do. That might change next week, hopefully only for the better. I'm working on projects that just really charge me up. So I'm doing real good. But ask yourself, look at this. Where are you at? Where do you think you are? How healthy are you? Are you like Sherpa level healthy, ready to climb up and down this mountain several times in order to get other people up and down the mountain? Or are you like, I have just enough health to get myself up there? Or, hey, I'm cool with just chilling at base camp the entire time? Or Why are we even climbing this mountain? This is a bad idea. I'm going back. How healthy are you? Um, the second part of our tool here, as you can see up above, right, that 40, 60, 75, and 100, we have our mathematical signs, those mathematical signs there in blue that follow the number. So you'll see divide, minus, plus, and multiply. And the idea here is not just for you to get into a place of knowing yourself, like where you are, but what you're contributing to the environment. Whether you're a leader or not, we all have an impact on an environment. Now, you may be having a really healthy impact on an environment and you're competing with someone who's not healthy, or you're a healthy leader, but your leader isn't healthy. There's just all these different, we have some pretty cool tools that you'll see in the future that kind of show you those impacts and influences and what they can do to your subcultures and culture altogether. But you have an impact on your culture, and that's what we're trying to get you to view here. What you're trying to look at is, what are you contributing to the environment? There might be a lot of people on your team um, that are not in leadership positions like yourself, or maybe you aren't in a leadership position, that they also have impact, right? So if you start knowing where you are between 0 and 100, and then you decide what your impact is, the ultimate goal is to be 100% health and then have a multiplying capability. So 100% health, and you're able to multiply that process, that health, into your culture. Therefore, have a positive impact on your culture and multiply that ability in others so that they also have a positive impact on the culture. So most leaders we run into, right, are between 60 in the negative to 75 plus, right? 60 negative to 75 plus, that's most leaders. That's typical. That's where they are. I've seen leaders in the 40s. I've seen very divisive leaders. That low of health, that divisive mentality is very toxic, or as we say now in the industry, counterproductive leader, right? They're very counterproductive. They can be like a cancer to an organization. Some of you probably know who I'm talking about. You might be picturing someone in your head right now. It may have been you at one point, or someone you've worked for directly. Hopefully you don't have many in your organization right now. They have a lot of deep wounds. They have a lot of frustrations. Usually there's something that's happened in their personal life or at work, and it's causing them to create a toxic atmosphere for other people. They're just real bad for the environment, the cultural environment, right? But like I said, typical leaders somewhere around 60 negative, right? They're a little frustrated, a little apathetic, they're jaded, they have that cynicism, which really leads to some negative viewpoints. And when you spend time with them, they can that negativity can kind of get on you. You feel icky. It's just not enjoyable. And that's typical for a lot of people, especially people in leadership positions that don't really have an intentional process or were accidental about how they lead. The more positive is that 75 plus. A 75 plus person is the, hey, how you doing? Great, good to see you. If you ever need anything, my door is open. Come see me. Plus person is, they're usually very positive, and they will help you if you go to them, but you have to go find them in order to get their help. They're generally healthy, but they're not extremely intentional. They're not out there trying to multiply. They'll add value, right? Plus, they'll add value if you go to them and ask for it. But the most intentional leaders are those 100x leaders, 100% healthy or striving for it, and have the ability to multiply. Now, they might be 90x, 95x, in the 80s x, but they're really healthy. They know how to multiply that health out. They know how to transfer. They're fighting for the highest possible good for those around them. They're looking to help get to the next level. They're helping you get to the next level, and everyone else that they have impact or influence on, they're trying to help them get to the next level. They're proactive, very intentional. So, where are you on this today? Are you typically, and then where are you typically? Are you typically in the 60 to 75 plus? What would help you get to a higher level? Have you even thought about your multiplication tendencies? Have you thought about them specifically in this way? Like, what am I doing? What am I contributing to the culture? Did I have a bad morning and I brought that to work? Or did I have a bad day at work and I brought that home? So remember, these tools aren't just professional only tools. These are personal development tools. So they help you at home. Maybe you're a 75 plus at work, but then when you get home, you're so drained, you're in that 60 negative world because there's some unresolved issues there. Or maybe you're a 75 plus with your spouse and a 60 or somewhere unhealthy with your kids, right? So take this tool and kind of think about all the different areas of your life and the people that you interact with and figure out, where am I? Where would I like to be? And how do I get there? Now, we're going to cover more tools to help you how with the how piece, but we can't really do that until you get a real good understanding of where you are, right? That's how we start a journey. You got to know where you are before you can go to where you're trying to get. Otherwise, maps don't work. So here we go. One thing that I would say before I wrap this up is you could be super healthy, right? Even if you get to this point to where you're in the 80s and the 90s and still not be able to multiply that. So don't look at health as an automatic indicator that because I'm healthy, I now know how to multiply that into other people. Maybe you're 90 plus because you don't quite know how to multiply your health into others. We'll stick around on Toolkit Tuesdays and we'll show you that way. We'll show you how to multiply. We'll give you the tools necessary to take the health that you have in you and give it to others. But if you're not healthy, let's start with that first. Because, surprise, as you learn how to become healthy yourself, you're learning the process that you'll eventually need to learn how to multiply into others, right? And it'll be so much easier once you've done it for yourself. So that's your challenge. Figure out where you are. How healthy are you? What are you multiplying? Who are you multiplying? What are you contributing to the environment? A little bit of personal reflection as we do every time, right? We're not always the best judge of what it's like to be on the other side of us. What's it like to be on the other side of you is a good question to constantly ask yourself. Make sure you have some humility. Take this tool, show it to someone else, and ask them, hey, where do you think I am? How do I come across? What am I? Am I an add value? Am I a multiplier? Where do you see me? Do I seem healthy? Do I seem agitated? Right? Am I consistent with that? Right? Get some people that you trust to soundboard you with this, to plot you on it and tell you where they think that you are. That might help you see yourself a little bit better. So before I jump to questions and answers, I just wanted to talk about next month. So mark your calendars. First Tuesday of next month is August 6th, and we're going to talk about the 100x leader assessment, which is just a build on today's concept. I might actually throw another tool in there. We've really covered a lot of what a 100x leader is in the past couple of episodes, but now I'm going to show you the tool to actually look at to help you understand and assess where you are. It's a very powerful tool, and it's another foundational tool that we'll need for future sessions. So if you found today's session helpful, consider joining our deeper dive. We have paid courses that do these toolkits way deep and get you to fully unlock them and use them with a guide, right? With I will be your Sherpa on this journey. So yeah, happy to join you on that journey if you decide to go that route. So I'm going to jump off of here and I will look at questions if you have them and answer them. Thanks for joining. See you next time on Toolkit Tuesdays. All right, bye guys.